Hi, this is Mike from Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and on today's video we'll be taking a look at overlays for your GPU and basically how to monitor performance if you're getting weird issues like stuttering, overheating, all those kinds of things. And today is going to be the turn of Nvidia. Keep watching to find out more. Okay, so in today's video we're going to take a look at the Nvidia Graphics Overlay. So this is a pretty decent way, an easy way of actually monitoring your graphics card to see if it's doing any weird things. Maybe it's not performing as it should do, maybe it's overheating, maybe it's using too much voltage, too little voltage, etc. Or maybe you just want to see how much power it's actually using whilst you're playing games. This is a pretty good way of doing it, and has actually been one of those videos which has been requested. So thank you, Dave Aitken, for actually mentioning this as well. It is something which I have been meaning to do, and that was a little kick up the butt that I needed to get this done. So this is actually going to be part of a three-part series on all the graphics cards. So we're going to be doing Nvidia, we'll be doing obviously AMD, and also we'll be doing an Intel one. So if you're watching this video and you're thinking, well, actually I've got an AMD card or an Intel card, don't worry, there is going to be a follow-up video with those included, and we might do one which rounds up the whole lot together so you can basically pick and choose how you see fit. So without any more faffing around, let's get on with it and show you what it's all about. So this is our Windows desktop, and as you can currently see, we've got the Nvidia Performance Overlay currently in the top right hand corner. Now this is actually adjustable. You can choose where this goes to a limited way. It's basically into quarters, so top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right, etc. And in order to get this, you do have to do something which a lot of people don't like doing, and that is you have to install the Geforce Experience app, which comes as part of the Nvidia drivers. You do also have to actually register that as an individual, email addresses and all that kind of usual stuff. So if you're not overly keen on doing that and you want an alternative, there are various ones available, one of which is built into Windows straight away. So if you just press the Windows key and G, and this is the built-in Game Box overlay or Game Bar overlay. So this is Microsoft's own Xbox overlay, and you can see here we've got various tabs at the top which you can choose. This one here is for performance, and this one will give you various minimal details about what is going on your system and gives like a history of 60 seconds. So this potentially can be useful, monitoring this to see what's going on. And you can choose between your CPU, GPU, your VRAM. You can also choose your actual system RAM, and you can get an FPS readout here should a game be running. So this potentially might be useful for some if you don't want to go through the faff of the Geforce Experience. So to get rid of that, again, Windows key and G, and that will close it down. Now, if you do decide to go for the Nvidia overlay, which you probably will do because you're watching this video, let's talk about some things you need to do primarily to get things set up. So obviously download the latest Nvidia drivers. We'll put links for those in the video description so you can find the Nvidia driver download page, install it, and after it's installed, make sure you do a reboot. Otherwise the hotkeys won't work. So pressing Alt and R, which normally will add or remove the overlay, won't work. So you do have to do at least one reboot before that is active. And to get it all set up, head down to your start bar down here and the Nvidia icon, right click on it and choose Geforce Experience, or alternatively you can just click on the Geforce Experience icon on your desktop if you've chosen for that to be installed. So in the Geforce Experience, you can close this down, go into settings and make sure this bit here is enabled. So in-game overlay. You can also use Alt and Z or Z to go in and adjust settings, or just click on settings. That might be preferential. So click on settings and you'll get this come up. So this is the Geforce Experience overlay, and there's various options you can choose here. We're not going to go into all of these. We're just going to choose the main one, which is going to be our overlay. So you've got the HUD layout, which is your overlay. You can scroll down through, there's other things on here as well, but you've also got performance monitoring as well. So this is the reflex one. We're not going to go into that on this particular instance, but something we might visit in a later video. Anyway, so this is the HUD layout. So this is your basic kind of monitoring. So we've got options here for camera, the status indicator, performance, viewers, and comments. And obviously most of this is towards streaming. The one we want is performance. So this gives you a whole new set of options here. So like I said earlier, this is the option for positions. So if you choose that position there, your overlay is going to be on the top left. Choose that one, bottom left, choose that one, bottom right, and top left. That one generally is kind of like the default one for most people, I feel. And you've also got options. So this at the moment is the advanced version. So you can obviously turn it off if you don't want it on at all. You can choose latency, which will give you latency results. Obviously you can't really see that because there's nothing going on game-wise. FPS, again, same thing. So just a simple FPS counter. You've got basic, which gives you, again, like it says, the basic options. But I feel for most people, especially for diagnostic purposes, the advanced option is going to be the better one. So once you're happy with that, you can close down this section and close down that. So we can take a closer look at what is actually going on here in the performance overlay. So it tells you immediately, Alt and R is to enable and disable, which we've gone over numerous times, but just in case you're wondering. So it tells you your graphics card, your frames per second, your 99% FPS, your rendering latency. Now this is going to be one which is going to be very important. So if you're running at a resolution or a set of settings which is actually causing latency in your rendering, you can adjust this to get much better performance. Now in some instances it can be actually turning up quality settings will reduce this, but render latency is going to be what makes your games feel smooth and consistent. So getting this number as low as possible is essentially the primary goal, at least it will be for the majority of FPS shooters anyway. Next up, we've got our CPU utilization. So you can see how much your gaming is actually using your CPU, and the same for GPU. So if this is only at kind of 50% or something, there's clearly something going wrong. Most games should be maxing out your GPU to some extent. You've also got your GPU clocks. Keep an eye on these. If these are fluctuating wildly or dropping down to significant amounts, that could mean something like either a power issue or potentially overheating. Same for memory clocks. Memory does get hot, as does the GPU clock as well. So as it gets warmer, these will drop to try and keep temps under control. Speaking of which, underneath that, we've got the GPU temperature, which currently with the fans not running is 43°C, which is not too bad at all. You also got your fan speed there. Do keep an eye on that. So if your fan speed is fluctuating, again, really, really rapidly, or showing 0 RPM when it should be actually spinning, that could be a fault of your fans. Also GPU power. So we're currently idling just on the desktop here, so we're using about 7 watts, and our GPU voltage is right down at 0.7 volts. So let's fire up Unigine Heaven, and you can see what these results would actually look like in a kind of gaming scenario. So there we go, Unigine Heaven is running, and as you can see now, we've got a full set of results in our overlay panel. So our FPS there, it's pretty decent. This is running windowed here, just so you can see this side section a little bit better. So you've got our render latency, which is down to about 3 milliseconds. It does change every now and then. Again, this is the setting you want to keep as low as possible to keep consistent gameplay, or at least have it pretty stable. This is a benchmark, so it's unlikely to be that stable because obviously you're changing what is going on. It's generating a lot of pressure on the system. CPU utilization, again, very low. GPU utilization, because as a benchmark, obviously we're around about the 99% mark, which is what you'd expect to see. GPU clock and memory clock are both in their expected ranges, and our GPU temperature has rocketed up to 70°C. Our fans have now kicked in as well, and you can see how much GPU power you're using. So we're currently using just slightly under, well, there we go, 200 watts we're using roughly. So this is going to give you an idea of what is going on in your system. Again, if your wattage is deviating from the norms, you need to look into that. Again, temperatures, if they're spiking up incredibly and you're not seeing corresponding changes in fan speeds, this could then affect things like your GPU clock and also your render latency, because you're putting more stress on the system. Anyway, so there is a brief overlook of the performance overlay from Nvidia. There's also going to be other things of doing. You can run things like hardware monitor and have that running. It's not so much an overlay, more of a background task, but that certainly can also give you similar sort of features. But I feel for most people, especially if you've got an Nvidia graphics card, this is very useful to have running on your system to monitor what is going on and potentially diagnose faults. Okay, so there you go. There is an introduction into the Nvidia Geforce Graphics Overlay. Hopefully this is going to be useful to some of you, especially if you're possibly coming onto our Discord because you're having problems with lag and stutter, all that kind of thing in games. This is probably going to be the video we're going to point you towards, first of all, just to get some kind of baseline readings of your system to see what is potentially going on, monitoring temperatures, fans, render latency, all those kinds of things, just to see what is going on. And again, don't forget, if you want to, you can use the Windows game bar. That potentially also can give some kind of indication of what is going on. but I would say the Nvidia one is significantly better. Now, of course, there are other options such as MSI Afterburner, which will cover all the graphics cards and actually offers up absolutely a massive amount of data, which potentially we'll look at a video on that as well. But I feel for most people, actually setting up Afterburner can be a little bit of a traumatic experience if you don't know exactly what you're doing. So I think for most beginners, especially those diagnosing system issues, the game bar and also Nvidia's Geforce overlay is a pretty easy way of getting started. Anyway, hopefully this video has been useful to you. If it has, smash the like button. If you want to see more content like this on a daily basis, hit subscribe and the chime notification and you'll be notified of future video releases. But for now, I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching.